Welcome back. Welcome back to Tuesdays with Turbo. I am super excited. Kind of got a little upgrade going on. Let me know in the comments what you think. And for those of you watching live, welcome. My name is Ryan Turbo Jackson. I am your insurance resource. I've been doing this with the podcast, so I figured why not bring this kind of studio environment to the Tuesdays with Turbo. So hopefully moving forward, this is going to be something that's going to be more routine and just more fun. Just more fun. Throughout the show here, we're going to be having some stuff go up here on the TV, so keep an eye on that. But today, ladies and gentlemen, normally what I do is I do videos on insurance, whether it's education, whether it's answering questions. And today we're going to be doing a kind of a little game, I'm going to give you 10 different scenarios, and you're going to comment down below. Is it going to be covered, not covered, or it depends? And I'm going to give a disclaimer right out the gate here is that when it comes to all of these, just keep in mind every insurance company has its own rules. So these are kind of general situations here, but don't take this as the word of God here. Make sure you check with your agent. Open up the dialogue, ask these questions. There really is not a stupid question. We get questions day in and day out, and we are more than happy to help because that's what we're here for, and that's what we get paid to do. So without any further ado, like I said, we're playing a game this week. We're going to be going over 10 different scenarios, 10 real life scenarios. Like, these aren't abnormal, these aren't obscure. These are things that happen here locally, here in Marcellus, Michigan, Southwest Michigan, and the surrounding areas. So these are extremely relevant. So if you do enjoy this type of stuff, go ahead and like, subscribe. Let me know where you're coming from if you are watching live, and thank you for those that are watching live. And give this a share, because I guarantee, even though none of these situations might have happened to you or will, I guarantee someone on your timeline will be appreciative that this will come in handy. So let's start off with number one here. Number one, wow, that changed a lot. Again, covered, not covered, or depends. Situation one. If you saw the post that I made yesterday about the vast majority of Michiganders like to go up north. We like to take a trip up north, get away from a lot of the hubbub of the just normal everyday life. So let's say behind your truck, you're pulling a travel trailer. You're going to set up, your family's camping experience, if you will. And let's just say that camper is damaged while you're towing it. Whether it's involved in an accident, you're getting gas and you back into something, or hit one of those really pesky yellow poles around the gas pump. This is something that happens every day. So is there coverage there? Is there coverage? So I'll give you guys a couple seconds here to kind of get in your bag, if you will. And is it covered? Is it not covered? Or does it depend? And the answer is it depends. It depends. Now, the rule of thumb is that with any type of trailer, whether it's a cargo trailer, a travel trailer, anything of that, pretty much anything that you could pull behind a truck, the liability is automatically included when it comes to that trailer because it has to be pulled by something. So the liability comes from the vehicle that's pulling it. So kind of keep that in mind. Now, as far as property damage is concerned, you're comprehensive in your collision, then it needs to be added to your auto policy. With some companies you have to have a totally different policy, but you have to have an auto policy with that company for it to even be covered. So again, it depends. Are we talking liability, or are we're talking damage? So this is something that would need to be on the policy for there to be coverage. So scenario one, the camper you're towing behind your truck, it is a depends. Scenario number two, is it covered, not covered, or it depends? Your buddy borrows your fishing boat and hits a dock. And here in Marcellus, 36 lakes within a 6-mile radius, This could happen very, very easily, very easily. And so when that happens, we're not only talking about coverage for the boat, but coverage for the property damage from the dock, unless it's your dock or his dock. But let's just say it's a stranger's dock. They happen to come too close to it. Boat comes beside it. The weight kind of tosses them into it, and it wasn't intentional at all. There wasn't anything nefarious going on. So as far as your boat policy is concerned, or the coverage on your boat, is it covered, not covered, or does it depend? And the answer here is, again, it depends. It depends. Now, assuming that your friend has permissive use of the boat. Okay, we're just going to throw that assumption out there that they haven't stolen it, borrowed it without asking. They have permissive use. This is kind of similar to if you let your neighbor use your vehicle, is there coverage? Do they have to be listed on the policy? And the answer is no, as long as they have permissive use. Now, again, when this person does borrow your boat, do they have a driver's license? Do they have boater safety? There's a lot of boxes you as the boat owner want to make sure you're checking off prior to letting them borrow the boat. If those boxes are checked, then by all means there would be coverage for the boat and the property damage and any kind of liability. Let's say, God forbid no one was hurt during this, but if that happens, and as you can see, something very small, a situation that's very small, a situation that a lot of us happen to, partake in on a daily basis, can escalate into something very large if it's not taken care of properly. So permissive use of the boat, check. They have their driver's license and are this isn't their first rodeo with the boat, check. So if those boxes are checked, then liability, physical damage, everything like that would be covered. Now, if they don't, then that's where the whole depends comes from. So if they don't, then we might be looking at a situation where there would be no coverage and your friend would be high and dry, and you'd be going down with the boat because it's your boat. And that boat, if it's damaged and it's the bottom of the lake, there's no coverage there. There's no coverage. So let's move on to scenario number 3. And this is something that we've seen, knock on wood, a lot so far lately. But let's hope we're done with that part of the season, storm season. Lightning fries your TV during a summer storm. Is that covered, not covered, or it depends? Now, this one in particular does have some company-specific things here, which we'll get into. I'll talk about it as a whole, and then I'll kind of scale it back. So while you're sitting here, is it covered, not covered, or does it depend? And the answer is, in this situation, it is covered. Now, the reason it's covered is because it would fall definitely covered on your home policy or your renter's policy if you're renting. But it's a covered event. There was a storm. And the only thing that you really have to worry about here is your deductible. If it was just the TV, I have a very good feeling that if you have $1,000 deductible on your home policy or renter's policy or beyond that, you're not going to meet that deductible unless you have some really, really super cool TV that I'm not really aware of, or you have a TV wall or a big LCD wall, then yeah. But for normal Joes and Janes here, where we have a 65-inch TV we got from the big box store that's $350 now. The likelihood of us you could by all means try to make a claim, but nothing's going to be paid out because you haven't reached the deductible. Now, where I said let's get to more company specific, Auto Owners has an endorsement called They have an endorsement where equipment breakdown had a total total brain fart there. Equipment breakdown, where that lowers your deductible for situations like this, where it covers electronics, appliances, HVAC, pool pumps, anything that's electrical, well pumps, things like that would fall under this if there was a power outage, power surge, or like the scenario, lightning fries it. So that's where we're looking at. It's an endorsement that lowers the deductible from your policy deductible to $500 and gives you $100,000 worth of coverage for anything that's damaged. One of the coolest parts about auto owners doing this is that they do not count this scenario against your claims-free discount. So that is huge. So if you do have auto owners, make sure you're taking a look at your policy. And it's a very, very inexpensive endorsement to add. I believe it's less than $30 a year. So again, especially in the area we live in now, where it seems to be storm and tornado alley, might not be a bad idea to pick that one up. Okay, let's go to scenario number 4. This actually happened here locally a couple years ago, where there was a ton of rain in a very short amount of time. And this one is when your basement floods after 2 days of heavy rain. As you can see here, we got a basement. Basement doesn't have a sump pump, or the sump pump was just overwhelmed by the amount of rain that was coming in, which leads to damage to not only does it need to be removed and then taken care of so there's no mold being present, and if there is any sort of finish in this basement, the drywall's toast, the carpet's toast. So is this something that would be covered on your normal home policy? So in this scenario, would it be covered, not covered, or would it depend? Let me know your thoughts here. Again, would it be covered, not covered, or would it depend? And the answer here is it's not covered. There's a really, really big difference and a really big misconception that a lot of people think. They're like, water in my basement, that has to be, it's different when it comes from the outside in as compared to like a burst pipe or your water heater leaking. We see this a lot when people go on vacation. They come back to a basement full of water because their water heater was shot and decided to leak all over the place. If that's the case, then yes, there by all means would be coverage in the event that we're talking about the water heater or there's a burst pipe somewhere. That by all means would be covered. But in this scenario, we're talking about rain, which is water from the outside coming in. And the big misconception is that this is considered a flood situation. Anytime you have water from the outside coming in, it's a flood situation. Now, if you have flood insurance, then by all means, this would be covered, and this not covered, we could switch that to covered. But since we're talking about just a general policy, or auto owners does have an inland flood endorsement that could be added in, obviously prior to this happening, but we would be able to pick up some coverage from there. But as it sits as a normal policy, the answer is no. And most people think of floods as, when a river overflows, lake gets too high. There's a lot of things that could be considered a flood. That doesn't have to be like a natural disaster or a widespread thing. This could be very local. Add to this, to kind of compound on this, if your neighbor has a pool and the liner decides to leak, or there's anything that has that type of situation attached to it, is considered a flood. So flood just isn't rivers and streams and lakes getting too high and the water just going everywhere. It can be very local. So kind of keep that in mind. Scenario number 5. We've got an injury at your house. You're having a family barbecue, which I guarantee by this time of the summer, all of us have had this or have been to one, whether it's 4th of July, Memorial Day, just a normal Saturday, or if we have one coming up for Labor Day. This is something that happens all the time. We invite folks over for whether it's burgers, brats, brisket, whatever it is, whatever your accoutrement is, or whatever's on the menu. But let's say someone trips over your garden hose and breaks their wrist. Would there be coverage? Would there be coverage? Now, you might think this is kind of an open and shut case, but a lot of people might not think about it like this. So is this something that's covered, not covered, or it depends? And the answer here is it is usually covered. Now, let's kind of expand upon this a little bit. Someone's over at your house for a barbecue, meaning you invited them over, okay? This is something that is fairly common. Now, there would be coverage if someone came onto your property that you did not invite, that they get injured. There would be coverage there, but it's a totally different kind of scenario here. With this, you invited someone over to your home. They were injured. And in this case, they tripped over the garden hose and broke their wrist. So there's part of your home policy that's the medical payments. And the vast majority of folks have no idea what this actually covers. And it covers something, or provides coverage for something like this. Someone you invited over to your home is injured. They go to the hospital. What happens next? Well, that person has their medical insurance. They have a deductible. The medical payments on your home policy help pay for that deductible. It's kind of like a good faith type of thing. You invited them over. So let's provide a little coverage to where it kind of bridges the gap there, so that person doesn't have to pay anything out of pocket, or the excuse me, the amount that they have to pay is drastically reduced. Now, if let's go further to where that person is now needing a lot of attention, then there could be, if it goes above and beyond that medical coverage, we can pull coverage from your liability. So keep in mind, there is coverage for this scenario. So yes, and this is not company dependent. This is by all means. So let's take a look at again a scenario that happens quite a lot. It shouldn't, but it happens quite a lot. You park your car. You forget your laptop in the car, or any other valuable item in the car, and you come out the next morning, the car window is broken, and your laptop or whatever valuable has gone missing. It's stolen. Would there be coverage in this scenario for, let's just talk about the laptop or the expensive item, because as this is a pretty much open and shut case, as if you do have comprehensive coverage on your vehicle, there would be coverage for the physical damage to the vehicle. So let's just narrow it down to the item itself, whether the laptop, golf clubs. I've got a softball bag that I take around with me that's quite expensive. So would there be coverage if something like that was stolen? So is this a covered, not covered, or it depends situation? And in this case, it would be covered if this is not covered on your auto policy. This is the item that was stolen falls under your personal property. So personal property gets you to your homeowners or your renter's insurance. So this is a huge thing where a lot of people are like, well, it was in my car. Shouldn't my auto insurance pay for it? No, because there's coverage from a different policy, whether it be, like I said, homeowners or renters, that would pick up and does have coverage for your personal property. Your personal property is covered worldwide. So wherever you take it, that coverage follows you. So again, you'd have to look at the deductible of that policy. Is it even worth making the claim? But if it's something substantial, like a $4,000 or $5,000 laptop. You got the newest MacBook Pro all decked out. Don't know why you leave it in your car overnight, but if you happen to forget, and that would totally be covered. Now, if it's a very expensive item, highly suggest that you schedule that or individually insure that on whatever renters or homeowners policy that you have, so that you could lower the deductible and get better coverage that way. And to do that is fairly inexpensive. So again, highly recommend that. Again, this is something that would not fall on your auto policy. This would be a homeowners or renters policy. We're over halfway, folks. We're going to the next one. This happens at my house all the time. This happens in both houses that I've lived in here recently. This happens all the time. You hop in your car, you're in a hurry, you're backing out of your driveway, and you back over or for this scenario, it's going to be your mailbox. Your mailbox, you run over your mailbox. Now, this isn't something I've personally done. I've had friends and family members leave my house and hit my mailbox quite a lot. Especially the last house I lived at, it seemed to be a very common occurrence. So would there be coverage if you backed your vehicle into your mailbox? Would this be something that's covered, not covered, or it depends? And in this scenario, it's something that would be covered. Now, we have to kind of take a step back. There would be coverage on your vehicle if you have comp and collision. Again, open and shut case. Bada boom, bada bing, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But if we're talking about coverage for the mailbox itself, technically, yes, there's coverage. But again, deductible. And when we're talking about the mailbox itself, this would be part of your homeowner's policy. And again, $1,000 deductible compared to not even close to $1,000 to replace not only the post, but the actual mailbox itself. This is something that we're getting into that realm of, if this is something that I would highly recommend paying out of pocket, because A, you're not going to reach that deductible threshold. And if you did, that's one heck of a mailbox. One heck of a mailbox. But if it does barely eclipse that deductible mark, you're going to lose your claims-free discount. So again, it's something you have to weigh and something that you should be able to talk to your agent about, just to make sure that, hey, is it really worth me making a claim in the long run? So technically, yes. But should the claim be made? That's up to you and your agent. But if it were me and my clients, just fix the darn thing. Just fix it. Scenario number 8. Your teenage driver rear ends someone while driving your car. Is there coverage? Is this something? And this is something that, ironically enough, we haven't had too many teenagers do this, but lately, a lot of our clients have been hitting parked cars. I'm not sure why. I can't really give you a good answer. But yeah, our insureds have been hitting parked cars, which, again, that will be a whole other show. But in this scenario, both cars are moving. Both cars have drivers. One of the cars is yours with your teenage driver behind the wheel. Is there coverage? Is this something that's covered, not covered, or it depends? This one should be a fairly easy one. There would be coverage. There would be coverage. Now, in this scenario, your teenage driver is licensed. Okay, is licensed. So even though we talked about permissive use with the boat, and I kind of alluded to it with a car, if the teenage driver lives in the household, they should be listed on your policy, hands down, or have their own policy, which tends to be a little bit more expensive, but both scenarios are completely acceptable. But they should be on a policy regardless if they are a licensed driver and they are on living in your household. And especially if they don't have their own vehicle, they should be on your policy as the mom and or dad. So yes, by all means, should be listed on the policy, which means they're afforded all the coverages that come with that policy. So whether they're driving any of the vehicles, whether it's your vehicle, your spouse's vehicle, or a vehicle that you've provided for them, there would be coverage regardless of whoever's vehicle it is. Now, let's say that you don't add them and they live in the household. Now, this is where a lot of people try to cheat the system, because they're like, well, if I add this teenage driver, my rate's going to go through the roof. Which teenage drivers are not cheap to add to either your auto policy, excuse me, or for them to have their own auto policy. I get that, but there's a reason why, because stuff like this happens. Excuse me. Stuff like this happens, and it tends to happen more frequently with inexperienced drivers. So that's kind of why it's more expensive. Now, let's say in this scenario, they're not listed on the auto policy, but you're like, and the adjuster comes out and they're like, well, tell me what happened. Well, I gave them permissive use to use my vehicle. And this teenage driver, let's say, is 19. They've had their license for 3 years and have not appeared on an auto policy, period. Which that's doing them a disservice, because they're not being able to build their insurance score because they're on a policy. And if they go to buy a vehicle and put it in their name, they don't have any prior insurance history. So it's kind of nickel and diamond now, and it's going to cost even more in the long run. So, and then the adjuster could be like, well, you've had plenty of time to put this driver on your policy. They live in the household. They are a resident relative. They need to be on this policy. And since they're not, we're going to deny the claim. So it's one of those, you're trying to cheat the system now, but if something happens, you could be jeopardizing, a lot of money coming out of your pocket then. And God forbid someone was hurt in that accident, because you just opened a whole other can of worms because they're not listed on your policy. So very, very, very important to list all household drivers on your auto policy. I had a client just this morning send over, her daughter just got her permit, and she asked, well, should we list them on the policy? I said, yes, by all means. We can list her as a unlicensed driver because she doesn't have her license yet. And it was very inexpensive to list them as a non-driver, or excuse me, as an unlicensed driver, which gives her, she falls into the personal injury protection now. And if she's allowed to practice driving with mom and or dad. So everything's good to go. Everything's good to go. And then the best part is, most people don't know, when your kid gets their permit, that number on their permit turns out to be their driver's license number when their license is issued. So we can use that, enter it in, and then once they do get their license, you can be like, Ryan, go ahead and make little Sally, make her an active driver. She just got licensed. Here we go. Easy peasy. Very easy. Very easy. So yes, the answer is, if they're on your policy, there would be coverage. Scenario number 9, we got this and one more. Again, something that just happened here recently. We had an insured that a tree fell on their garage during a windstorm. Would there be coverage? Again, on your homeowner's policy, if Storm comes through, tree or branch or anything like that falls on your house, garage, anything like that. Would there be coverage? Is this covered, not covered, or does it depend? And this one here is an easy covered. It's something. It's this loss comes from a weather event, and it's very easy to track. Very easy to track. Now, how much of it's covered? That depends on your policy. This is something to where what's your deductible? If it is on a detached structure, how much coverage is there? Is it just the 10% that comes with the policy, or did we add additional because it's to replace that building would be more? And if it's your house, yes. Okay. Do we have guaranteed home replacement? Is that something that you and your agent have talked about? And one of the biggest questions we ask or get asked in this type of situation is, well, can I mitigate or remove any part of the tree? Do I have to wait for the adjuster? Especially when it's a widespread event, the adjusters are busier than heck, and they're getting to people as quickly as they can. So to help mitigate that, by all means, but take photos. Take photos of your, before you touch anything, take as many photos as you can. And then document whatever you do via photos again. If you need to buy tarps, make sure you keep the receipts for the tarps and then give those to the adjuster once they get there. So it's not like you have to sit on your hands while the adjuster's doing their thing and then they finally get to you. You can mitigate, just make sure you're documenting the process from the start to when they get there. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And last but not least, scenario number 10. This one's kind of fun. But it kind of goes hand in hand with another one of our scenarios. We've got a puppo. We've got a doggo. Hot dog falls off the grill. Your dog grabs it, runs into your neighbor. They fall into the kiddie pool and break their wrist. Again, this is very similar to the invited person at your barbecue, slips on the garden hose, breaks their wrist. Same type of thing. And again, the medical payments coverage would be there, liability would be there if we need it. So this is something that is definitely covered. Definitely covered. Well, that is our 10 scenario. Is it covered, not covered, or does it depend? Let me know how many you got right in the comments. And again, now that I have this set up and I can access this quite easily, Tuesdays with Turbo are going to be back in full force, because this is something that I really enjoy, and to make it a little bit more presentable, a little bit more appealing to the eye is always better. So let me know if you guys and gals have any questions about what we covered today, or if you have any suggestions on future videos. I'll take any and all suggestions I can get. What are some of your top questions that you've never got answered on your insurance? Let me know those in the comments. And if you'd like, I'd be more than happy to review your current policy, regardless of whatever company it's with, whoever your agent is. Let me know. Get a hold of me. You can comment on this video. You can shoot me a Facebook message. Here's our office number, or here is my direct email. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our summer scenario. Is it covered, not covered, or does it depend quiz? Again, let me know how you do in the comments, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you every week. Everyone have a great week. The weather should be fantastic, and I will see you next week.